Is this the end for the US petrodollar? China has officially launched its Yuan-based oil futures market. Upon its initial release, it is trading to a premium to its US counterpart. Markets are definitely going to be shaken up, especially after such a much anticipated move. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. What's going on with the Petro Yuan? That's what we're going to talk about today. Chinese oil contract to rival US WTI and the UK's Brent is born. First ever Yuan crude futures trade at 432 Yuan per barrel. September contract is about $4 a barrel higher than WTI. So, very important news. It is the 26th of March, a very, very big day that we have been anticipating for quite some time now. Many people said that this would never happen, and here we are, looking at it, understanding the fact that this is going ahead as planned. China launched its first ever crude futures contract as the world's biggest oil buyer seeks to wield greater power over pricing and challenge benchmarks in the US and Europe. They have a very, very understandable reason why they would want to do this. They want to go away from the US dollar. They want to pull more money towards them and be able to skirt around any obstructions that are in their way. The long-awaited yuan-denominated futures on the Shanghai International Energy Exchange traded at 432 yuan a barrel. That's about $68 for September. Now, let's take a look at this. This is the INE's own website. You can see it for yourself if you're interested. Basically, this is showing you the actual market data. You can see it trading for yourself to know that this is a fact. It's not a rumor. It's not anticipated. It has actually gone through. Here you can see the chart form, WTI crude futures at the top here. Looking at this, the gray line, and following that is the INE crude oil futures. Okay, look at this, the Petro Yuan futures, and you'll see that it corresponds to the US and Chinese currencies. Here, looking at this, China takes crude crown as output lags behind rising demand. China's record oil imports in March helped it to top the US as the world's biggest buyer during the first quarter, as stockpiling and aggressive buying by refiners coincides with slumping domestic production. This is back from 2017. You saw as China overtook the rest of the world to become the greatest consumer of crude oil, but also countless other commodities and other things like cars and cell phones and everything else. Here's the chart form. New crude buying kings. China imported more oil than the US over a quarter for the first time. Clearly, the trend has been present, and you could see that here over the years. China's just been consuming more and more and more, and this happens to be oil, but as I've said, there is a whole list of different things that China has been really becoming the number one consumer of. So looking back a few years ago, I'll show you a few things that have happened. One of them is yuan to be used for the Sino-Russian oil trade. So basically China and Russia's trade between each other. They want to use the Chinese currency. They will then not have to deal in the US dollar. Not having to use the US dollar is very beneficial to both Russia and China here at this time. Using a yuan-based crude oil future market is very beneficial to China, to Russia, to many other countries who have, let's say, obstacles in their way, and that obstacle being, of course, in the US and Europe, they can get around that. And this is just the first step. I don't believe that what is happening today is necessarily going to change the world overnight, but I think that this is a very, very big step. They opened up the AIIB, which is a direct rival to the IMF World Bank, and now they're actually getting into the futures markets, and I think that this will simply expand as time goes on. It's not going to be the only thing they ever do, but here in time, they're getting stronger, they're getting more of a support base, they're finding more partners, they're doing more deals all around the world, infrastructure is being built up, factories are being built, land is being purchased, and they are truly taking over. Okay, Russia will start settling more contracts in Asian currencies, especially the yuan, in order to lessen its dependence on the dollar market. And because of the Western-led sanctions, that could freeze funds at any moment. Now think about that for a second. If you are Russia, do you want to have to trust in a system that may lock you out of it, and then they are able to keep so much of your money, of your investment? That doesn't really make any sense. So you can definitely see that Russia is going away from that. You see China's going away from that. And Iran. Iran is ditching the dollar, reportedly no longer using the US dollar in foreign trade transactions and replacing it with other currencies. And this has been going on for quite a while. But ultimately, we see step after step after step. This is a very big deal. When you have a reserve currency previous to the US dollar, what was it? Does anybody know? Well, that just didn't happen overnight. It's something that, central banks can choose what they want. They can make it happen and choose to basically exchange what they have as reserves. They may choose one thing or another. That's what governments do, but it doesn't happen overnight. So what they're doing here is ultimately a step-by-step process. What you will see in the near future is more and more investment going towards this yuan-based futures market. And it will, of course, be something that is very powerful. It's sending a message, if nothing else, to the US. And it said basically that they want to do away with the US dollar and their hegemony. It's not a very good sign to the US that all these countries are setting up currency swaps and it's partners of the US. We're talking about basically all countries doing business in deals with their own currencies and going around the US dollar. Not for all their trade, but for some of it. And that's something that is very profound, because as time goes on, what I've seen anyway is that they've been not only re-signing these contracts, but they have been expanding them. So that shows us that as they become more comfortable, they feel the stability, they will choose to continue along this route. Not a good sign if you're worried about the US dollar, the petrodollar, and ultimately it's going to present itself with a big issue. Now, I'll leave it there for today. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. When you give me a thumbs up, it helps to support this channel, so I do appreciate that very much. And last but not least, if you found this video informative, I know that you will find my books, The Money GPS, and my newer release, Global Economic Collapse, even more informative. You can actually flip through these books. If you go over to Amazon, there'll be a link in the description here. And you can actually flip through the pages of these books to see if you like them. Take care. I just wanted to interject here right before I close it off to thank everybody who has been recently donating to me. I'm so grateful. I have to reply to everybody who has recently contributed to me on Patreon. I message every single person, but I just haven't got a chance yet. I will look for those messages. And I just want to thank everybody. Truly, thank you.